Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started. I want to apologize for our little delay tonight. We had what's called an executive session upstairs, so you can blame the attorneys. It's not us. We would have been here on time. But anyway, what a crowd. It's nice to have a full council chamber again. Thank you all for coming out, all the parents and kids. But first, we want to go out of order, and I will turn the first presentation over to our Vice Mayor, Julio Guzman.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's a great day. Thanks for being here. It is a real honor and pleasure to be here. Thank you, Mayor. Everybody good? I am extremely happy today. It's really great to see our congressman in attendance. Great to see Frank Balsbury. Great to see all of these beautiful faces here with us today. I'm happy. I'm excited. Today we get to recognize one of Homestead's most inspirational leaders. Her and her husband have touched many lives in this community, and she has helped hundreds of businesses flourish even through times of adversity. So what I'm going to say, for those of you that know her, can probably relate to what I'm about to say. Oftentimes we come across people or athletes who throughout their career, they master their craft and they become great. And for some reason we think that maybe they've got some God-given ability to be that great. For example, Michael Jordan, considered one of basketball's greatest players, probably the greatest in the world. And throughout his career, he has done amazing things. He has accomplished phenomenal things on the basketball court. But what's not often talked about is the amount of time this guy has practiced, time and time over again, to become fearless, to lead, to motivate, to influence his teammates to become better. But most importantly, the main thing in Michael Jordan's career was the fact that he had a mentor and a coach named Phil Jackson, who taught him the concept of how to play with a team. At its essence, a leader is about influence. Whether it's influencing your families, whether you're influencing your employees, we influence. The question is, do we more often influence for the better or for worse? This amazing woman who we are going to recognize today has always had her ethics in the right place and influenced people around her for the better. She was that coach, that mentor who knew how to bring people together, having all sorts of different characteristics, and encouraged us to take on bold missions. We became more productive, we strived to reach greater heights, and she held us accountable for the results of the job at hand. I feel she's been blessed to inspire. She makes everyone around her feel like they are the most important person in life when she's with you. She will not allow you to accept no for an answer. She'll remind you can either find a way to make it happen or you can find an excuse not to. She empowers everyone around her. She never wants the spotlight. She gives all the credit to everyone else, and she allows the team to shine. She's extremely humble, and she has a heart of gold. Carrie Black, I'm here to let you know you are and always will be my Phil Jackson, the greatest mentor of all time. Carrie Black. Amazing. Thank you for being here, Carrie. You mean the world to me. I'm going to read you a proclamation in the city of Homestead. In August of 1991, Carrie Black and her husband, Russell Black, founded Latin Impact Ministries in order to develop a network of national church leaders and Latin Impact Ministries has reached tens of thousands of Latinos and has developed hundreds of individuals and teams focusing on servicing the underprivileged and extending outreach to help build schools, provide members of the community with access to higher education, and promotes the collaboration of strong leaders in the city to improve local and regional unity. And Ms. Black empowered the South Dade entrepreneurial community by serving as the CEO of the South Dade Chamber of Commerce from October 2017 to May 2021, and reinvigorated the chamber by creating a new mission statement and following through on that promise. And under Carrie's leadership, the chamber has experienced one of their best renewal seasons and a restored reputation throughout the community, providing business leaders with resources, guidance, and community connections. And in recognition of Carrie Black's retirement, the City of Homestead celebrates her extensive career of service and leadership, touching the lives of many in South Florida and beyond, enhancing our businesses, entrepreneurs, and members of our community. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Stephen D. Losner, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the City of Homestead, Florida, do hereby proclaim this 16th day of February 2022 as Carrie Black Day in Homestead. For those of you looking for a mentor, please, she's available. Carrie, did you want to say anything?
Of course I do. Nothing great gets done without a great team. Right, Frank? If you were invited here today, would you please stand up? I want everyone else to recognize the team as well that made everything that we were able to accomplish a we and definitely not a me. Could you also give them a round of applause as well? Every one of you. Thank you. Couldn't have done it without you.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I know this was came through your office from the office of Representative Jimenez, who's with us tonight. I wonder if Congressman, I just invite you to the podium, and you're always welcome in our chamber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Vice Mayor. Thank you for having me here. And that was pretty cool, giving proclamations. I remember doing that not too long ago as mayor of Miami-Dade County. But now as a congressman, I get to do other things. And one of the things I can do is put things in the congressional record. Anything that goes in the congressional record stays there as long as the United States is in existence. So it goes Library, Congress, and the archives. And so I'd like Carrie and her husband to come back, because I got something that will be part of the congressional record. And it's dated today, and I'll say what it'll be in the congressional record. Madam Speaker, I rise today in recognition of Carrie Black of the South Dade Chamber of Commerce on the occasion of her retirement. Mrs. Black's career has touched the lives of many individuals in South Florida and throughout the world. She specializes in improving organizational culture and establishing healthy, thriving companies. In August of 1991, Mrs. Black and her husband, Russell, founded Latin Impact Ministries in order to develop a network of national church leaders. Latin Impact Ministries has reached over tens of thousands of Latinos and has developed hundreds of individuals and teams focusing on serving their communities. Today, Latin Impact Ministries has extended outreach to build schools, provide members of the community with access to a higher education, and promote the collaboration of strong leaders in the city to improve local and regional unity. Not only did Mrs. Black serve the underprivileged, she empowered the South Dade entrepreneurial community by serving as the CEO of the South Dade Chamber of Commerce from October 2017 to May 2021. The South Dade Chamber of Commerce is the second oldest standing chamber in Miami-Dade County and is a crucial resource for many of the community's entrepreneurs. Under her leadership, she reinvigorated the Chamber by creating a new mission statement and following through on that promise. Because of her leadership, the Chamber experienced one of the best renewal seasons, leading to a restored reputation throughout the community. She increased community visibility by participating in weekly podcasts hosted by Miami Community News. Throughout the pandemic, Mrs. Black ensured business leaders were still connected to the Chamber and provided them with resources and guidance. It is an honor to join the South Florida community in celebrating Carrie Black's retirement, as she celebrates an extensive career of service. I am grateful for all the work that she has done to serve the needs of South Florida businesses, entrepreneurs, and members of our community. And it's signed by me, Carlos Jimenez, a member of Congress representing Florida's 26th Congressional District. I'd like to give this to you as a record of what's going to be in the congressional record. And congratulations. We will miss you here in South Florida. But I'm sure that even though you retired here, you're way too young to retire. I know your husband, both of you, are going to continue to do great work wherever you're at and around the world. We, as a community, we're lucky to have you here, and I wish you much success in your future endeavors and eventually when you retire. So thank you. God bless you for everything you've done. You want to say anything? You already done. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, that presentation to a woman who has served in a leadership and mentoring capacity in our community is a perfect segue to my presentations tonight, and that is to groups of many young women who are already taking leadership roles on the field of play, who I know one day will be leaders in our community. And I will tell you, I am certain that in some upcoming Summer Olympics, if not in the next cycle, in the following cycle, we're going to see a lot of these young women representing our country who have their roots at the Summer Olympics in women's beach volleyball, with roots right here in Homestead. Luann, where are you? Come on down. Don't tell me they don't play hard and coach hard. A little background. What was it, about a year ago? You contacted me and gave me some background on your fledgling girls beach volleyball league and the issues you were having with getting a permanent home and what you were doing and your accomplishments. And I think that very day I turned the information over to City Manager Kate McCaffrey, and it was probably a day and a half later, the two of you had met, and the rest was history. And I just want to let you know that just last week at the meeting, we were talking about Parks master plans and future needs and programming in a beach volleyball facility on our future sports complex park. And our staff across the board had nothing but genuine praise and comment for you and what you do, because we have so many folks that come to this city with their hands out that are really, for-profit leagues who don't do what they do for any reason other than really profit. And you and your interaction with our staff has really stood apart and distinct from that, and that's really what our community is about, and we're pleased to support you. So from time to time, I guess I should call her Coach DeFreitas, gives us all updates on the accomplishments of the various teams. I wanted to take the opportunity tonight not only to represent her and the whole program, but the individual teams that recently accomplished some real success. And maybe if I could prevail upon you just to give us some background on some of their recent accomplishments, and then I'll call up the separate teams.
Oh, you're going to make me speak. Thank you so much. You're absolutely right. You jumped right into action for us. We needed a home, and we got one here in Homestead. And with that, this is only our second year with Travel Club Volleyball. And at our second tournament, am I bringing them down, or are you bringing them down with it? It's up to you. Okay. And so we went to our tournament, and it was the first time that all three of our teams had entered into the tournament and together. And each one of them, if you look behind you, brought home a medal. And so... So these girls and I coaches work tirelessly. They do an outstanding job in the gym, and you know, I couldn't ask for a better crew to be around. They work so hard. They are definitely my passion for the sport, and you know, just being able to bring that to Homestead and everyone here along with my players, it's a true honor. So thank you very much.
Stay here with us, and let me first invite down the 14s team with head coach Susan Nalwin.
Yes, 14.
So I have the list here as Alexandria Garner, Ariana Suarez, Ari Mejia, is it Danny Coates, Esther Nalwin, Francesca Garcia, Kelly Afalabi, Zoe Mejia, Valeria Navarro, and Madison Fogarty. Our future leaders and some of our future Olympic champions that will be representing our community and our country on the field of play as the world watches. I am certain of that. I want to present to the team a certificate of achievement from the city in recognition of your award-winning third and gold national team performance at the 2022 Florida Invitational Showcase Tournament. Your skill, hard work, dedication bring pride to our community. The City of Homestead applauds you. On behalf of the Mayor and City Council, that's for the team. And also for Coach Susan Nalwin. Thank you. This is your chance. Anybody would like to add to anything? Anything to say? Well, stay there if you don't mind, and we'll have the 15s team with head coach Peter DeFreitas come on down. I understand we have Alyssa Suarez, Honora Castillo, Ariadna Sands, Elani Benitez, Isabel Pena, Genevieve Guide, Milagro Sanchez, Nyla Prince, Samantha Garcia, and Kelsey Duarte. And this is a certificate of achievement for the Lumaday 15s team, winning bronze at the regional team performance at the Florida International Showcase Tournament. And finally, we'll have the 17s team with head coach, there she is, with Abel Perez, Caitlin Campbell, Daniela Jimenez, Fabiola Molina, Gianna Polidoro, Megan Linares, Q Trinity Conception, Veronica Hernandez, Elizabeth Krause, and Logan Wilson. And the Lumaday 17s team accomplished silver national team performance at the 2022 Florida International Showcase Tournament. Team. And for Coach Luann as well. Thank you. You have what you need? Again, congratulations, and you have our commitment that you will have our full support, and we will make sure that you always have a home to do the practice and the games you need to do. And thank you all for coming tonight. Come see us anytime. Keep us up to date. Thank you.
All right, everybody. So I will be presenting to the AYSO soccer teams. We've got state championships in the house. So I'd like to have the 12U girls come down with Coach Elizabeth Steig. 12U boys division and Coach Omar Campuzano. Come on down. And 19U girls division and Coach Luis Rivera. If you're here, please come down. Coaches, this is in recognition of all your hard work for bringing champions. We want our Homestead talent to come back to Homestead. So this is very important to all of us here on council to recognize our youth and our talent so that they can come back and be proud of where it all started. Who is Coach Elizabeth? Is that you? Congratulations. Thank you. This says, congratulations to the AYSO 12U Girls Division for your win at the Section 14 State Soccer Game held on January 17th, presented this 16th day of February 2022. The City of Homestead applauds you. So that's for you. Thank you. You're welcome. This one goes to Coach Omar Campuzano for the AYSO 12U Boys Division. All right. For your champion coaching skills and leading your team to winning the Section 14 Soccer State Championship. Thank you. And you get the same thing for your team. So there you go. You're welcome. You guys are looking sharp, ladies and guys. And Coach Luis Rivera. Is that you, sir? Okay. For the AYSO 19U Girls Division, for your champion coaching skills and leading your team to winning the Section 14. You're welcome. Congratulations, AYSO. We are very proud of you. Keep it up. This is a lot of hard work. Parents, all the parents out here, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. I'm a soccer mom in the past, softball mom now, baseball mom, basketball mom, so I know what it takes. The late night practices, the late dinners, Popeyes sometimes, right? Good job, guys. Keep it up. I hope to see you again soon. They want one picture with me. Hold on. Thank you. Stay safe out there. While they clear, secondly, I will be presenting to Harris Fields, Dick Conley, Steelers 12U. Yes. And their coaches, of course. So come on down. Come on down. Looking sharp. Look at this. I love it. Black and yellow. Love it. Bring the football down with you. That'll be great for the picture. Go all the way down. Come all the way down here. All right. Coaches, this is for your role in the life of the 12U football team and as coaches and as mentors. The City of Homestead would like to thank you for your role in the life of the 12U. We are grateful for the work you put into the team and for your example of leadership. This is presented to you on behalf of the City of Homestead, Mayor and Council. All right. This is for you. You're welcome. You're welcome. And players, this one's for you. This is for your hard work and dedication, for being the first team in Dick Conley's history for going to the championship and being second in the league. Congratulations. I'll have you. Hold it up. I think, yeah, take a picture. Beautiful. Thank you, guys. Stay safe. Keep that energy up. Bring those wins home to Homestead. And finally, to the Keysgate Knights varsity cheer team and coaches. Come on down. Cheerleaders. You keep the hype up during the games, even when they're feeling depressed, they're not winning, you still keep them happy and excited. You play an important role. The talent, the passion, the exercise, the training, the practice. I was not a cheerleader. I could not do it. I wanted to, could not. No. All right. So we're going to first recognize the coaches for your leadership and dedication to the girls. Without you, your team would not be what it is. You're welcome. And to the team, the cheer team, for accomplishing so much and being first at Diamond's Cheer and Dance Competition. And being eligible to compete statewide for the first time. You made it there. That's what counts. Congratulations. Can you hold that? Next time you win, bring it back. Congratulations. Do you want to say anything?
I'm a little nervous. I'm not a speaker. Congratulations to our girls, first and foremost. Obviously, we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them and all their hard work. Thank you to the City of Homestead for reaching out and having us here. It's a huge thing, and the girls are super, super thankful and excited to be here. Going to states was a big thing. We haven't been since 2014, and things have changed a lot since then. We placed 6th in the state this year, which is huge. And it's only our first year. We can do bigger and better things next year, and I think we're hungry for that.
Congratulations. Stay safe out there, okay? See you soon.
And we'll convene the regular council meeting just as soon as we have a quorum present. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to call the City of Homestead City Council meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, February 16th, 2022, and it is 6:14 p.m. Please rise and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Fletcher. Councilwoman Avila.
Here.
Councilman Roth.
Here.
Councilwoman Fairclough Staggers. Vice Mayor Guzman. Mayor Losner.
Here. All right. Mr. Manager, are there any additions, deletions, or deferrals tonight?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Next item is the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Moved by Councilman Roth, seconded by Councilwoman Avila. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough Staggers. Councilman Roth. Councilwoman Avila.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Guzman. Mayor Losner.
Yes. All right. Next items, public hearings, ordinances, land use items, etc. Mr. White?
Yes, please be advised the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. Swearing in. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to either be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. And further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any items on this evening's quasi-judicial agenda. That would be tabs 6 and 7.
Councilwoman Fairclough Stagger?
Yes, I had conversations with the applicant for tab 6 and 7.
Vice Mayor?
I've also had conversations with the applicant.
Councilwoman Avila?
Same here, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilman Roth?
Not this time, but the last time I did.
And subsequent to our prior deliberation, I've had conversations regarding items 6 and 7 as well.
Thank you. So at this time, I'd ask the clerk to swear in any persons who wish to testify on items 6 or 7 this evening. So anyone in the audience who's wishing to speak this evening on those items, please stand, raise your right hand to be sworn by the clerk.
Do you hereby swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God? Thank you. You may be seated.
Mayor, tab 6 and 7 are related to the same project. Tab 6 is a special exception. Tab 7 is the corresponding site plan. I can introduce both. You could have a collective discussion, public hearing, take a vote separately on tab 6 and tab 7. Is that?
Yes, let's proceed accordingly.
Tab 6 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving a special exception requested by PMG Asset Services, LLC, to permit the development of an approximately 165,154 square foot assisted living facility, independent living facility, and memory care facility on an approximately 13.63 acre parcel of land north of Laura Lane, east of Northeast 12th Avenue, south of Northeast 8th Street, Campbell Drive, and west of theoretical Northeast 15th Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. Tab 7 is the resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida granting site plan approval requested by PMG Asset Services LLC for the development of an approximately 165,154 square foot assisted living facility, independent living facility, and memory care facility on an approximately 16.63 acre parcel of land located north of Laura Lane, east of Northeast 12th Avenue, south of Northeast 8th Street, Campbell Drive, and west of theoretical Northeast 15th Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. I'll open the public hearing and invite the applicant's representative to make any comments with respect to these two items.
Good evening. Good to be back. George Sapero, Prime Group. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Better? George Sapero, Prime Group, 4651 Sheridan Street, Hollywood, Florida, 33160. We're here to talk again about the ALF. We're going to go through this very quickly because you guys have already heard the bulk of the presentation. We're going to focus on the issues that you had on architectural details. We also have the operator on the line because you guys had a lot of questions about how the facility was going to function. So she'll be able to tell you a little bit about themselves as operators and what we're going to be doing here. Annette's going to go through some of the architectural changes and let you know what we've done to add on to those elevations.
Hello. Thank you for having us back. So as George explained, I'm kind of going to run through the presentation and take us to those elevations where we could see the majority of the change that we have applied to the building. The overall site plan has stayed the same. The amount of units, amenities, that's all has stayed the same. So we're going to, here you could see one type of independent unit. This is a 2-bedroom. This is something you guys also wanted to see. It does have a full kitchen. We have a open space layout, which is something that everyone wants these days. You have your master bedroom with a walk-in closet, a full double sink bathroom, and you also have your guest bathroom with also a walk-in closet and their full bathroom. So this is one example of the 2-bedroom. Memory care, everything there more or less stayed the same. Amenities stayed the same. This is a typical memory care. It's a studio unit, so you will have a kind of like a foyer walking into your space. It's very flexible. It's open. Your sink and your closet are outside, and then you have your restroom. So this is very typical for a layout in a memory care unit. As we go on, this would be a 1-bedroom kind of typical studio for the assisted living. So you have more of a kitchenette feel. So it's more like a hotel. You don't have a full kitchen, but you do have a microwave, you have a refrigerator, you have a little island. So it still feels like a full apartment, but it's a studio, okay? This is a typical unit. Amenities has stayed the same. Here you can see our new elevations. So what we pretty much did, which was very drastic, is we played a lot with the roofs and the heights of the building itself. We broke up the roof because before it was very long. It was very dragging. The building is very big. We also added additional elements. We added scoring. We added banding and framing. We added window seals. We added Juliet balconies where needed. We added detail to the column, so it's not a simple column anymore. You have a base, you have a top of the column, which gives it personality. We also added entries or porte-cocheres to make it more stand out. It kind of gives you more of that feeling of arrival, which is very important. Brackets and additional roof details to give the building more movement. In this next slide, what you're going to see, the top view is the before. So this is what you saw in the previous presentation, and the bottom, which is what we're presenting now. So as you work your way from the north, from left to right, we kind of tried to call out for you guys the differences to make it easier to see. As you see, we added column detailing, we added the color detailing to the facade, we added the turret roofs with the main entries, and that, the playing in the height, you could also see the heights have changed, which gives it more symmetrical for the building, but it also creates more movement for the elevation. And we added color, because before the majority of the building was white. Now the main building is still white, but we have 2 accent colors, which is like a gray and a taupe color that we're playing with throughout the building. As we go on, the elements are going to stay the same, but we are calling them out through elevation. So you could see on the top, before, the restaurant didn't have that main entry feel, so we lowered it down. We added a drop-off area. We also lowered the roof. We added more awnings with brackets, and it just gives the building more movement, which makes it more inviting. And you'll be able to see this in 3D towards the end of the presentation. So here you could see the south elevation, which is the back. This is where most of the amenities happen, so there's courtyards happening, things like that. But the elements are the same. So throughout the building, we did add the scoring, the coloring, and the banding to kind of make it pop a little bit more. In this slide, you could kind of see the before and after also. So as we work, the top is the before, the bottom is the after. You can see the column detailing, the color detailing. We added additional windows. Towards the back of the restaurant, we extended the outdoor dining roof, so it's more inviting. It's all going to be covered, which allows more residents to be able to sit outside. We also lowered the roofing and doubled it to create more movement throughout the building towards the back, which is where we were having most of the flat and look. Yeah, this is the other side of the back, the same conditions. The top is the before and the bottom is the after. Here we have the west and the east elevation. It's the same. We broke up the roof line. We added coloring. We played with it to kind of make that building feel like 2 buildings instead of 1 long building. And in the next slide, you could see the before and after. So the breaks in the roof help a lot. The break in the actual pattern layout with the scoring and the 2 color tone, that helped with that elevation as well. Perfect. Here we have the before and after of the east. So one thing that's kind of important to call out is in the previous presentation, you couldn't see the building beyond, which it's there. And in the new presentation, you will be able to see what's happening because it's taller. And that helps a lot with that elevation as well. We also added the Juliet balconies because we didn't have any balconies in this moment to give that feel a little bit better, okay? And here we have our view. So this is what the project is gonna look like. It's more inviting, it's more movement. Here you could feel more of the column details that we're mentioning, the brackets, the entry driveways, the columns that we added to the facade. Before we didn't have those columns. Just a little more of a feel of what the project is gonna look like. The quality of the image is also a lot better than our previous presentation. Towards the bottom bubble, we kind of just presented what that section of the building is gonna look like because the trees at this angle kind of blocked it. So we kind of ghosted out the trees so you guys could see the movement towards the back of that building. And this is just a more close-up of that main entry, that point of arrival, which is very important. This is just kind of moving over so you guys can see the rest of the building and how we have added additional detailing to it. So this would be the south side towards the back. Here you could see the amenities. You have the gazebo back. You could see the roofing for the restaurant towards the back. The columns, the colors, the breaking between them. I think it's a lot more movement and a lot more exciting. So that's pretty much it. Any comments?
Thank you for those efforts. Before I go to questions from council, I think I got ahead of myself and skipped over the staff report portion of this item, so let's get that into the record. Mr. Corradino?
For the staff report, we still have the operator on the line, Mayor.
All right, and we'll get back to the operator if we need to, but let me have our Development Services Director put the staff report into the record.
I'll be very brief. We've reviewed both applications. We're recommending approval of both. We've reviewed the special exception under City Code -3475, community residential homes, and it fits the criteria there, we believe. And we've reviewed the site plan as well for the criteria in the site plan section, and we believe that that fits all the criteria, so we're recommending approval.
Thank you, Mr. Corradino. Does the operator is he just the operator's representative on standby for questions, or is there do you have a portion of the presentation?
Just like to go quickly through some of the services that they provide. We have Lisa Rogers, president of
Sure.
Distinctive Living.
If they're there ready, let's go ahead and hear. We'll need your name and address and position with the entity for the record.
Of course. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Well, thank you for having me tonight, even though I'm through the TV screen here. But my name is Lisa Rogers. I am an RN. I'm the President and Chief Clinical Officer of Distinctive Living. My address is 29608 GG Road, and I live in Evergreen, Colorado, where it's snowing quite heavily at the moment. I've been asked to speak before all of you today to really talk about what makes Portofino Park such a special place within your community. I had been dealing with seniors and working with seniors from before I graduated from high school. And as seniors age, one of the most important aspects of making a move from their home is first and foremost the safety and security of our loved ones. As we look to move our loved ones from the comforts of their home, knowing that they're going to be safe and well cared for is paramount above everything else. Having that dignity and respect are also an element of that feeling of security and protection. At Portofino Park, we will be delivering 3 distinct types of care to deliver care that meets each resident's specific needs. Those 3 distinct levels of care are first, independent living. That means that we're going to be caring for and looking after the security of those residents living in our independent area, of having the security of trained professionals nearby, and having the comfort of socialization that they may not have access to at home, and the availability of concierge services and quality cooked meals 1 to 3 times a day. Our independent living residents also have full access to all the amenities of the community while being able to continue to maintain their independence with qualified caregivers that are just a call away. Assisted living is for those residents that require more of a hands-on health and wellness care. These residents really require assistance with their day-to-day activities when they're not able to care or provide all those activities for themselves, or necessarily have a family member that's able to provide those services to them. These residents may also require minimal medical oversight, such as assistance with diabetic management or arranging for specialized physician appointments. Memory support services will be provided for those residents that require more direct and specialized services regarding memory support diagnoses. While our goal is to provide care services that are invisible or really behind the scenes, when residents come to us, they know that they're requiring some type of care, but we don't want those services to be visible as we're providing them. We do this to be able to protect each person's dignity while also providing them safety and security. The ease of access to these amenities that will be provided at Portofino Park allow for the dignity and care and promote independence. To name a few of these amenities: full service upscale on-site restaurant that really is a front focal point for us, for our residents to be able to entertain family and friends. A bistro cafe area for residents to purchase items throughout the day, or just as a gathering spot to meet up with coffee and donuts in the morning or throughout the day, that really helps to minimize social isolation. Movie theater is available for internal activities or family movie nights. Full access to a full bar and lounge area. outdoor garden seating areas that are really purposefully built for either our independent and assisted living residents, and really more specifically for memory care, our memory care resident areas as well. We'll have recreational services that are so important as we age to continue to provide as much independence as possible, but would not necessarily be accessible in a home environment. A pool, exercise and fitness areas, spa and massage rooms, and access to licensed therapists. And of course, hairstylists and nail technicians for us to keep feeling good about how we look as we age. So Distinctive Living has operated and assisted in the design of these types of communities and other high-end and upscale markets within Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton, Delray, and we're really honored to be working with the Prime Group to bring Distinctive Living to Homestead. So just a little bit about us, but certainly open to any questions that anyone may have for me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight. And I'm going to open it up now to questions or comments from council. And one or more of my colleagues may want to address some of those issues to you. So if you'll just stand by, I would open it up to questions or comments from council. Any, Councilwoman Avila?
Thank you, Mayor. For the operator, I have a question with regards to the hiring and the jobs. It was mentioned at the last meeting how many jobs were projected, but could you give some more clarity on what jobs would be available and how many? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have an exact number for how many jobs right today, but we would be looking for, depending on the types of residents that are looking for our services, we would be employing nurses, caregivers, med techs, that would help cover the clinical aspects of the care we'd be providing. We'd also be looking to hire activity professionals, memory, those that have memory support or dementia training. Chefs, we typically put very high-end chefs in these communities, along with trained culinary service, food delivery services, maintenance, and asset management people as well.
Thank you. There's nothing further from council at the moment. I will ask if there's anyone in the audience or online. Councilwoman Fairclough-Staggers.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a question for the operator. You indicated you're based out of Colorado?
I live in Colorado, but I travel for the company. I'm typically on a plane somewhere.
So who will be operating this facility? Where will they be located? The main operator day-to-day.
Yeah, we do have access to a full resource of people who live in the Florida area, as we've operated there before.
You said you have access, so you don't have anyone yet.
Yeah. We don't have that person hired today until we get closer to the project completion.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Cepeda. So the last time you were here, a month ago, I know you left, or you probably weren't too happy. But I can say there's a quote that diamonds are made under pressure. So I know we put pressure on you to bring us back a better product. And that pressure that we put on you, or I put on you, it came from a pure place, because it is our responsibility to ensure that we're advocating for the needs of our community. And the product that you brought us back, I'm pleased with, because you really took your time and brought something back that we can be proud of. The accent colors, the elevations, the trims, the look and feel for the balconies. That is what we want. And that is what I was asking for. Something that when these residents pull up, they can say that this is my home. And the lush landscaping, the palm trees, you nailed it there. So thank you so much for coming back and bringing us something that we can be proud of. I can support this tonight.
I'm glad it's to everybody's satisfaction now. We're proud of it.
Thank you. Councilwoman Avila?
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to echo the sentiments, and I agreed with all of the items that we were bringing to your attention last meeting, and I'm happy to see all the changes. I do think there's something missing in the entrance.
Flagpoles?
Yes.
Yes. We have flagpoles in all our hotels, American flag, state flag, and usually the hotel flag. We're definitely going to have flagpoles here. We have them everywhere.
Thank you. You heard that, Joe, right? You make it part of your STIPs? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I will be supporting this item tonight.
Thank you. Vice Mayor? Okay, so Mr. White.
Thank you, Mayor. I just need some clarification. This document was not in your packet, nor was it circulated to staff until this afternoon. Staff has not reviewed this document. So currently, the way that the ordinance is drafted, the conditions are based on a set of plans, right? A list that was submitted, all the elevations that was submitted with their packet. They've now redesigned, and they have new elevations. They show before and after. So I need clarification from the applicant that the site plan with the color is the same that's in the packet. I don't know. And we need to, because these are not elevation plan lists, they just show different north-south elevations before and after. So we can craft a condition that would apply to these revised plans that they can subsequently submit the scaled plans to Development Services, but if the applicant can clarify.
Yes, absolutely. The only changes were done to the elevations. The floor plans are the same. The site plan's the same.
The roof plan has changed because we did play with the roof a lot. So we would have to update the roof, but the overall site plan is the same.
So the footprint remains the same as
Footprint
previously
remains the same.
presented.
Correct.
Is that sufficient, Mr. White?
Yes. So if you all are moving to approve this evening, then the way that the special exception is crafted, it's subject to the site plan, and then the site plan would then be subject to, as a condition, the revised elevations as presented this evening.
All right, so let's see if there's any public comment, and then we will address that. But first, Councilwoman Fairclough-Staggers.
Yes, I have a question procedurally. Why are we being presented with information that hasn't been vetted by you all? I mean, this was placed on the dais here, the presentation, and it's like you're just seeing this for the first time. So it's just a little frustrating that, and embarrassing that we're supporting something that you all haven't vetted.
Councilwoman, we hadn't received that package until this afternoon. There was no time to vet it prior to the meeting. The agenda package had already been produced almost a week ago. So,
but I think that should have been communicated to us before they even present it. Like what you have on the dais is before you. Full disclosure, we have not had the opportunity to vet this because with this sitting here, I'm assuming that you saw this before us.
we had not. We hadn't had time to review it.
In the future, if you can please, if you don't have the opportunity to vet it, then let us know that you have not done so, because to me, I felt that it had been vetted already.
If we would have received it when we wanted to receive it, which would be in time to make the package, we would have been able to vet it. But when the applicant shows up and just kind of puts it out there today, there's absolutely no time that we had to review
That's
that
what I'm
package.
saying. Before they even
Understood.
present it, it could have been disclosed that it
Understood.
hadn't been vetted.
Yes, ma'am.
You hadn't had the opportunity to look at it.
Understood.
All right. Any public comment? No one online, no one in the audience. Close the public hearing then, and I will ask for a motion for approval of tab. come on down and give us your name and address for the record, and you're limited to 3 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, council members, my name is Eric Weiner. I live at 1052 Northeast 30th Avenue in Homestead. I live in a development that is managed by PMG Assets Company, and I'd like to present some pictures of flooding events, if I can.
Just give them to the clerk down at the end, and they will distribute it to council.
The community is subjected to annual flooding events, as will be shown in those pictures. I have spoken to the Villa Portofino East CDD, which is packed by members of PMG Assets and Prime Group, which still manages the property. In all honesty, I would like to see a stipulation from the council that PMG Assets correct the flooding issues that they have been unable or unwilling to do for the 6 years that I have lived in the community. As you see on these pictures, this is an annual event, and it's getting tiresome. I'm not sure PMG Assets is up to the job that they are pitching to you. And I'm being right up there. I would like to see a stipulation that they take care of the flooding in the community before they proceed, if the council allows them to build out the development. It looks terrific. But is there going to be flooding in that community also? That's going to impact residents, seniors, where they will be landlocked. That's up to you. So I thank you for your time. And I'm hoping for a resolution that helps the residents of Villa Portofino East. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And I would look to the attorneys and, inquire whether an unrelated property, is that an appropriate condition to attach to this approval? I mean, clearly we're now aware of an issue, just as we were a few weeks ago with Homestead Gardens, and we're not going to lose sight of that issue, and we'll deal with that. But is that really an appropriate nexus or connection?
It's not, Mayor. So we're dealing with a completely separate property, unrelated to this property, although same principles maybe. However, they're unrelated, and legally you cannot condition or require this applicant to take care of something on another property as a condition of approval for this.
Thank you. Now, to our resident, I would ask you before you leave, if you would give all of your contact information to our assistant city manager here, Mr. Good, so that we can begin to make inquiry and have some contact info for you to address that separate but very important issue. Thank you, Mr. Good. All right. So, do we have a motion to approve tab 6? Councilwoman?
Thank you. I just want to just state that this drainage problem was brought to my attention last year, and I did bring it to management, and we did look into it. And the roads are private roads. The HOA is the one that's responsible for the drainage, and they have to probably service the catch basins, the vacuum and accumulated debris that's there. So although that would be an action of the board members of that HOA and the homeowners there, how could we as a council make sure that would this be a code issue in the future? Like if drainage were to happen, if let's say there's some deferred maintenance item, what do we have within our power to put pressure on the property owner in this case, for Portofino Park? How can we address that in the future?
I guess that's probably for you, Mr. Pearl.
If there is an ongoing violation, then, we can visit with code enforcement and identify the deficiencies, the maintenance deficiencies, see if they rise to the level of a violation of our code, and if they do, then we can issue citations for those violations. If we can get some specifics about what that is, I'm sure that we can get together and look into them and see what remedies are available to us.
I appreciate that. I mean, and this is a particular concern to me because it's not the only community that has been brought to my attention with flooding issues. I mean, some areas within Keysgate community as well. And is clearing your basins part of our code? Is that something that's that you could violate? Maybe it's a conversation for a different day. But it does shine light on a big issue and that maybe we do need to address more frequently. So I will be making the motion to approve this item tonight as presented. Is there any other verbiage you need in there?
As presented with the revised, subject to the revised elevation plans shown this evening by the applicant.
As stated, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the plans as presented in their revised form tonight. Tab 6, do we have a second? Have a second by the Vice Mayor. Or anything further?
Just one question,
Councilman
Mayor.
Roth.
Thank you. In regards to Councilwoman Faircloth Staggers' question about the vetting process of the new proffered plans, that'll be vetted first by our development services so that everything is to code and to your satisfaction as well. Because I am too taken aback about not knowing that this hadn't gone through your eyes. And it wouldn't be a procedural thing normally that this would happen at the 11th hour. We have guidelines that we have to abide by. And if we don't get it in on time, we don't get our business brought forward either. So, as I think my colleague feels, this is somewhat forced upon us, but it won't stop what happens tonight. Just so in the future, we're brought and made aware that procedurally this wasn't done as we are held to as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. So let's have a roll call vote, Madam Clerk. Or Miss. Yeah.
Councilman Roth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Avila, Councilwoman Fairclough Staggers, Vice Mayor Guzman,
Yes.
Mayor Losner,
Yes.
motion passed.
All right, and now on to tab 7, the site plan approval for this same project. We have a motion to approve as revised. Well, there's no revision to the site plan, correct? That's your statement on the record? Yeah.
Well, the revision is that the site plan resolution has conditions, and the conditions have a list of plans, which are old elevations, but the condition would be subject to the revised elevations that will switch out.
Do we have a motion to that effect?
Move it.
Moved by Councilwoman Avila, seconded by the Vice Mayor. Anything further from council?
Don't forget the flagpole. And good drainage, please, please, please.
All right, let's have a roll call vote.
Councilman Roth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough Staggers, Councilwoman Avila,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Guzman,
Yes.
Mayor Losner,
Yes.
motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Look forward to seeing it come out of the ground.
Thank you.
All right, next item is tab 8, second reading of car number 3434, public hearing 2021-24, the VOH-DRI development order and master plan amendment. Mr.
Yes, Mayor,
Pearl,
this is-
or is that Mr. White? Okay.
Second reading, tab 8. Second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the development order for the villages of Homestead, development of regional impact, providing for severability conflicts, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Cordino?
Sir, we're recommending that the mayor and council approve the amendment to the Villages of Homestead Development of Regional Impact Development Order. This process we used to do was much more complicated. It was called the Notice of Proposed Change, where we went through the spreadsheet and it went through a bunch of different state agencies. It's still essentially the same as where we go through the spreadsheet and make sure that the acreage that is changing is checked. It just doesn't go through that elevated process through the state. What the applicant is doing is taking this DRI development order, which was approved in the 1970s, and modifying it. They're requesting a decrease of 27.85 acres in school within Sector 14 of the DRI. So that will go from 37 acres to 9.15 acres. The remaining 9.15 will remain school. That 27.85 is already at school as a subcategory of industrial. It'll just be put into the industrial. The industrial won't change. It'll just be reclassified from school to industrial. The industrial will be 239.8. And so the math works out, and we're recommending approval.
Thank you. Any initial questions or comments from council? Okay, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience or online wishing to speak on this matter? Now give us your name and address for the record, if you would.
Good afternoon, Alex Arias, 701 Brickell Avenue, representing the applicant. I believe my colleague Hugo Warza gave a lengthy presentation in December. I have the same presentation ready to present if you needed to refresh your memory. If not, out of respect for your time, I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, council. This is our final opportunity for any questions or comments on this application. Okay, we have a motion to approve tab 8, second reading. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilwoman Faircloth Staggers. There are no further questions or comments. I'll ask the clerk to do a roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Faircloth Staggers. Councilman Roth.
Yes.
Councilwoman Avila.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Guzman. Mayor Lawson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. Congratulations. And tab 9 is also a second reading, car number 3435. Mr. White?
Yes, this is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the Master Development Plan for the Homestead Park of Commerce, HPOC, as requested by Doug LLC, to permit light assembly, light manufacturing, and distribution uses on a portion of the property identified by Miami-Dade County folio number 10-7921-011-0025, located within the Lake District, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date. Second and final reading.
Thank you. Mr. Cordino?
Sir, we're recommending approval of this as well. As the attorney said, the modification that's being made is being made to the text. There's a category, general land uses, and it contains office, industrial, commercial, and the applicant wants to add to it light assembly, light manufacturing, distribution, in addition to the other uses that are allowed. So that all fits in with the existing land uses, and that is going to be on the land identified on one folio number, and that's ending in 0025 within the Lake District of the area. So as the attorney said, it all works out. We think it's compatible with itself, and we're recommending approval.
Thank you, Mr. Cordino. Any initial questions or comments from staff? I know counsel for the applicant is here. So we'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone online or in the audience wishing to speak on this matter? None appearing. Then I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion to approve this item. Moved by the Vice Mayor. Seconded by Councilwoman Faircloth Staggers. Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Avila.
Yes.
Councilwoman Faircloth Staggers. Councilman Roth.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Guzman.
Yes.
Mayor Losner.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Have a
you.
great evening.
All right. Next item is the first reading on car number 3469, public hearing 2021-84, Chapter 3 Amendment. This is tab 10. Mr. Pearl.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Tab 10 is an ordinance for first reading. It's an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 3, Alcoholic Beverages, to repeal alcoholic beverage regulations and reserve Chapter 3, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date.
So, Mayor, council members, this is one of the items that you all had requested that we move forward for consideration. This deals with Chapter 3. It's the alcohol beverage regulation section of the code. And we had discussed, this is the section that requires applicants to come in and get a final order and go through the public hearing process. So in discussions with streamlining the process for applicants, you all had directed us to come back with an ordinance that would repeal or eliminate Chapter 3. And the ordinance that's in the packet this evening, for the most part, repeals all of Chapter 3 except for two aspects that I wanted to bring to your attention. And so under the statutory scheme, licensing scheme, under Florida law, there are two areas in which local governments still retain home rule authority and jurisdiction over, and that is with respect to the hours of sale and with respect to the zoning or location requirements. And so currently your code right now has both of those, and so those are not deleted, those are left in. And it's a policy decision as to how you all want to proceed. So with regards to the hours of operation, under state law, 12 p.m. is the deadline for the sale of alcoholic beverages. Your code currently allows for 1 a.m., and then in your arts and entertainment district downtown, you allow for 3 a.m. And throughout the years, you all have provided final orders to that effect. So if you all want to amend and get rid of that, then the default is going to be 12, right? The second component part is the location requirements. Currently, you all have spacing requirements in the code with respect to not between individual license, but between schools, government properties, things of that nature. And you also have a waiver of location requirement set up as well. If you were to eliminate the location requirements that are currently in your code, the default would be the state regs, and the state regs are way more restrictive than what you all have, and basically just provide that you couldn't locate any alcohol beverage license establishment, whether on premise or off premise, within 500 feet of a school. So if you decide to eliminate the waiver requirements in your code, the default will automatically be the state requirements. But if you leave the waiver requirements you have in your code, you have more flexibility and more control over that. And we've modified the waiver provision that the waiver provision can be done administratively, and then if someone is unhappy with the staff's administrative interpretation, they can appeal it directly to you as council. So that's the way the ordinance is teed up and set up right now. If you all want to keep it that way, it'll proceed to second reading in that fashion. If you want to change it, we can make those modifications between first and second reading.
Council? Councilwoman Allen?
Thank you, Mayor. Joe, can you help me understand maybe how our current code compares to other South Dayton municipalities with regards to the hours and the location requirements?
It's very similar. I think many cities that have entertainment districts allow them to go past midnight. Miami Beach was just having a discussion about that, of how late they wanted them to go. So I don't see it being vastly different. I think, what are we, a 3 a.m. in the entertainment district, which seems to be reasonable. I think the beach is considering 2 or a number like that. And then 1 everywhere else seems to be consistent and reasonable with other communities. They may vary, but not very much.
Okay, thank you. So you're recommending that we basically eliminate everything except those 2 provisions, right?
Well, it's a policy decision. I'm just pointing out that if you decide to repeal everything, right, which includes your existing hours provisions and your existing location restrictions, then the default will automatically be the state. So no one in the city will be able to sell past 12, either on-site or off-premise. And if you get rid of your waiver requirements, then the default is the state. And currently, you all have requirements spacing from government property, for instance. The state doesn't have that, so someone could locate right next door to City Hall. The only requirement is that they would have to be spaced from a school. You're more comprehensive than just a school. Your government property.
And I think to clarify, as presented, we're preserving our more expansive hours of operation and provide for waivers within certain areas.
Correct.
So if we were to adopt as presented, we're preserving those more generous provisions.
Correct.
Okay. A question I had, though, where in the ordinance, and this is old language, talks about the Arts, Entertainment, and Antiques District, and then it defines the downtown historic area, which is far more constrained than the definition we recently crafted in a council workshop. And it occurred to me that if it's going to be our policy to promote more mixed use further away from the core of downtown in connection with higher density perhaps, that perhaps we need to revisit that definition as contained in the current ordinance, so that what we've recently, I think, come to a consensus on, at least in a workshop, meshes with any revision here. If you notice, this only goes, it talks about the historic downtown, it only goes from Mowry to 5th Street rather than all the way up to 8th and all the way over to US 1. And, maybe we can move this forward and talk about that between now and second reading, because we would have kind of a subzone of permissible uses, which is smaller than what we looked at a few weeks ago. Councilwoman?
And is there a difference between us identifying the historic downtown versus just our general downtown? I think that there's plenty of cities that have 2 downtowns. One's historic, old downtown, and then they're newer.
Well, we could do that, but I guess it's a policy decision as to whether or not we would like to expand the ability within those additional areas we've recently looked at. Again, that's, I guess, as Mr. White would tell us, that's a policy decision. How far out do we want to go with that?
Yeah, and if I could, Mayor, so over the years, we have modified the boundaries of the Arts and Entertainment District, and that's done by a separate ordinance. So you always have the ability to expand the parameters of that arts and entertainment area.
Which I would expect we would be doing, implicitly in some kind of RTZ schematic, so that, that will interface with this in the future. Okay, just want to be sure we weren't creating some conflicts. All right, is there anyone in the audience or online wishing to address this proposed ordinance? None appearing, then I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion to approve on first reading. Moved by Councilwoman Avila, seconded by the Vice Mayor. There's nothing further. Let's have a roll call vote.
Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilwoman Avila? Councilwoman Fairclough Staggers? Vice Mayor Guzman? Yes. Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, very good, making progress. Next item is tab 11. This is also a first reading of car number 3486. Mr. Pearl?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is an ordinance of first reading. It's an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 2 Administration of Chapter 6 Buildings and Building Regulations, Chapter 14 Historic Preservation, Chapter 24 Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Places, Chapter 25 Subdivisions and Plating, Chapter 29 Vegetation, to remove references to the Planning and Zoning Board, designate the council as the city's local planning agency to carry out the requirements of Florida statute, section 163.3161, and otherwise transfer all former PZB duties to the city council, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Cordina?
So, Mayor, Council, so this is another follow-up item from our previous discussions with respect to a more efficient process. Based on your direction, we've drafted an ordinance that eliminates, dissolves the Planning and Zoning Board, and the statutory duties for a local planning agency that we're required to have, that the P&Z served in that capacity, is now going to be shifted to you as the city council. So you will sit as the LPA and wear your hat as the LPA, similar to how you wear your hat as a CRA board. And you'll be making recommendations to the council on comprehensive plans, future land use maps, rezonings, and changes to our land development regulations. So those responsibilities are just being shifted now to you all. So that's what this ordinance does. Now, follow-up to this is that we also will be coming forward, depending on what you all decide with this, we will be coming forward with the first reading of an ordinance that modifies the process for applications that would mirror this new process in Chapter 30.
Okay, thank you. Questions, comments from council? Okay. Anyone in the audience or online wishing to speak on this matter? My personal concern, and I'm all for streamlining the process. That's what this is about, to make things faster, easier, and less expensive, and bring more into accord. But I'm torn with the idea of having any citizen input in an official capacity in the Planning and Zoning Board. And I think when we had this discussion, there were some areas where perhaps, depending upon the scope of a project or what was being asked for, that we would retain some of that citizen input. This does not do that. This completely wipes out any other that land use advisory board. And while I support the principle of moving forward and streamlining, I really have difficulty with essentially saying to the public, thank you, but we'll take your input for 3 minutes from the podium rather than sitting as a formal P&Z board. But thinking out loud, if this goes forward, I'm just wondering out loud if any thought has been given as to whether or not we should perhaps migrate to a system where we have a second council meeting every month that is limited to a land use council meeting. Because if we sit as the local planning, our meetings are going to go longer and longer. We're going to hear the same two things. We're going to have two hearings in the same night on each item. And if there's a cumbersome P&Z agenda, these could be very, very lengthy meetings. Has there been any thought or consideration to, in years past, we always had 2 council meetings a month, and I know it's, sometimes burdensome on staff. But again, just a thought that it may be that at some point in the future, we need to consider having standalone land use meetings.
I've not delved deep into that. I have discussed a little bit with staff procedurally how that would work out. I do think this is going to be sort of a trial and error as we roll this out. And I think we're just going to have to see how it plays out, because you very well may have some controversial future land use map amendments or comprehensive plan changes or code changes or rezonings that will you may want to discuss. There may be a lot of input, and that may lengthen the time, right? And so it may not be a quick, like, gavel drop, move right into council meeting. You may debate it up front as the LPA and then not at the council meeting. I'm not really sure how that's going to work out, but I think that it is fair to say that you have a lot of those types of items. They're not unusual, they're frequent, and I do think you'll need to allow yourself enough time on council days or on CAL days where you have executive sessions and then you have presentations and then you have a council meeting that doesn't start until late. And so how you figure in that LPA meeting and where you do it, I think is going to really sort of, we're going to have to get some policy direction from you all as to really how you would like to do that schedule-wise in coordination with the manager's office, because fairly shortly when we roll out this is going to be second reading adoption next month, and then we're going to have first reading of the new process, and then by April we're in it, right? And so I think in very short order we're going to have to figure out what that looks like. And I don't have an answer worked out for you this evening, but I think it's something that everybody should kind of think about with respect to scheduling and timing, because you have a limited amount of time, and sometimes we aren't able to even get through our regular agenda. So,
all right, thank you. Those are my thoughts, and I'm all for modernizing the code and streamlining the process, but I can't support completely gutting this particular Citizens Advisory Board. So, Council, I don't think we have a motion to approve yet. Vice Mayor Guzman.
This question is for Mr. Corradino in regards to as-of-right approvals. The procedure for you to let us know the things that are being approved, how does that process work? Like things that just go straight through?
We would provide you a report on a monthly basis at the council meeting of all of the things that were approved administratively. And that would be the 5 acres or less commercial and the 5 units or less residential. Those are the two things that the code gives us the ability to do that. And we'll provide you that report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Good point. All right, do we have a motion to approve? Moved by Vice Mayor, second by Councilman Roth. Anything further from council? Let's have a roll call vote.
Councilwoman Fairclough Staggers. Councilwoman Avila.
Yes.
Councilman Roth.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Guzman.
Yes.
Mayor Losner.
No.
Motion passed.
All right, tab 12. It's a resolution, car number 3472, purchase of various equipment with financing through City National Bank. Mr. Pearl?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, bear with me on this one. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, authorizing the purchase of 1 council chamber projector from AVI SPL for the city clerk, 1 Ford F-150 from Bozard Ford, and 9 Panasonic Toughbooks from CDWG for development services, 1 backup appliance from Cumberland Group for its department, 1 Ford F-150 truck for the Facilities Division of the Parks Department from Bozard Ford, 4 Ford F-150 trucks for the Police Department's Code Enforcement Division from Allen J. Fleet Sales with related vehicular equipment and improvements from Strobes R.Us. and Graphic Designs International. 2 vehicles for the Police Department's SIU Division from Allen J. Fleet Sales with related vehicular equipment and improvements from Strobes R.Us. 1 Chevy Tahoe for the Police Department K-9 unit from Allen J. Fleet Sales with related vehicular equipment and improvements from Strobes R Us, Dana Safety Supply, Inc., Ace K-9, and Graphic Designs International. 1 vac truck from Houston Freightliner for the Public Works, Water, and Sewer Department pursuant to City Code Section 4-11.1A5, exemptions from competitive bidding provided for financing of all purchases pursuant to the City National Capital Lease, Inc. Master Lease, providing for implementation, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. You made it. Mr. Estrada.
Mayor, staff recommends that Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase equipment and vehicles for several city departments as outlined in the attached Exhibit 1 Purchase Summary Memo. All purchases are for equipment, products, and services approved as part of the city's capital improvement plan and will be financed through the City National Capital Finance Master Lease as part of this approval. All purchases are in accordance with existing contracts and as such are exempt from competitive bidding process pursuant to City Code Section 2411.1A5. Part of this approval is the award of contracts to the listed vendors. Total approximate cost of the purchase will be total approximate cost of the purchases to be financed are $934,918. Annual lease payments will be $58,549.20 over 8 years for the vac truck and $107,377.17 over 5 years for all the other equipment and vehicles, and will be financed under the City National Capital Master Lease Purchasing Agreement as per city's previous practice. The annual payment for fiscal year 2022 will be $82,963.21 with quarterly payments to CNCF starting in May of 2022. Funding for the financing of the equipment and vehicles is from various sources. The police vehicles are budgeted in the General Fund's Police Department budget. The vac truck is budgeted in the Water and Sewer Fund. All other equipment, vehicles, and vehicles are budgeted in the CIB fund through the transfer from the General Fund. In addition, we did reach out to the local vendors as well for these purchases, and we received no responses.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any additional questions from council? Okay. Really quiet tonight. All right. Is there anyone online or in the audience wishing to speak on this matter? Any not appearing, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion for approval. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilwoman Avila. No final comments from council. I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Councilwoman Avila? Councilwoman Fairclough Staggers? Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Guzman? Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Next item is tab 13, car number 3370, the purchase of 3 Ford F-350 crew trucks. Mr. Pearl.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, authorizing the purchase of 3 2022 Ford F-350 pickup trucks for the Homestead Public Works and Engineering Department from Palmetto Ford of Miami, pursuant to City Code Section 2-411.1A5, exemptions from competitive bidding, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Mayor, this purchase is for the replacement of a 2004 Ford F-550 with 137,144 miles, a 2007 Ford F-550 with 136,779 miles, and a 2001 Ford 550 with 136,624 miles, which is used by the Public Works and Engineering Department for day-to-day operations. Staff recommends that Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase 3 Ford F-350 trucks from Palmetto Ford of Miami for a total of $137,838. This authorization will also allow the manager to accept the price increase of up to 15% if requested by the vendor and authorized by the Florida Sheriff's Association Cooperative Contract. This project is part of the city's capital improvement plan, CIP 809-812-2242. This purchase will be made in accordance with the Florida Sheriff's Association Cooperative Purchasing Program, contract number FSA 20VEH18.0. Lastly, in order to ensure that local vendors had an opportunity to participate in this purchase, The Procurement Division issued a notice of intent to utilize the FSA contract, affording local vendors the opportunity to provide a quote, and no responses were received.
Thank you. Any initial questions from council? Councilman Roth.
Thank you, Mayor. Hey, Jerry, just a question about fulfillment on some of these orders that we're placing. I've heard grumblings and rumblings that it's taking a lot of time to get some of this equipment in. And also, you know, when you look at a 15% potential increase on $137,000, that's anywhere from $13,000 to like $20,000. Have we been hit with any of those in previous contracts that we've authorized that we haven't been made aware of yet? So one is the fulfillment issues, time length in getting these vehicles and the equipment into, as the police department's ordering vehicles and solid waste is and public works is. Can you give me like an update on that kind of stuff?
Councilman, in terms of the lead times, whenever we put the 10% or 15% increase, is that there's a long lead time. There's really no guarantee we will actually get these vehicles. But we're putting in the orders with the hope, since we're going ahead and placing the order, that we'll actually get the vehicles. But till now, none of the 10 or 15% increases that have been requested for authorization through the manager's office, none have been executed as of this time. And I'll be more than happy to report that to council if that actually occurs.
So it's interesting you say that there's no guarantee that we'll even receive this equipment. There's no time frames, there's nothing. So we're at the mercy of whomever we're purchasing these products from. We're not making any deposits or making any commitments to, unless we get delivery on these items, I'm assuming.
We'll create the purchase orders, encumber the monies, and of course we don't pay for anything until we actually receive the vehicles.
And so the equipment that we're replacing, is it, I'm assuming, is that end of life already, and we're milking these things and it's costing way too much to repair them at this point?
Right, correct. Fleet has recommended that they be replaced because of the mileage. But obviously, we have to squeeze every drop out of them if the vehicle orders are delayed.
And then, if we can't get the equipment that we need, is there a backup plan? Is there something we can do locally? I know that, and I'll share just a quick story about my experiences. You know, I came with the conclusion that it'd be smarter for me to buy a new vehicle than to keep my used vehicle because how much they were offering to pay me for my trade-in. But finding the vehicle was an issue, and it took a lot of due diligence to get it, and I did work out a deal. But the fact that we're going through the competitive bid process, if we open it up to other sources, does that give us an ability to find the equipment that we need? Although we may end up paying more for it, we're already allowing for 10 to 15% increase in the cost based on what the vendors we're buying from today are saying. So maybe we can expedite this purchase by exercising the 10 to 15% increase, but getting the equipment brought to us right away.
Councilman, we can open up the bid process to other vendors, right? And going in with the knowledge that we're going to actually pay more. Obviously, I would have to explain that to council. Hey, we're purchasing this truck. We could have got it for $50,000, have to wait for it, but now it's $60,000 and we can get it now. So that's something that you'd have to keep in mind.
Right, and I'm saying if we go through that exercise, we may learn that it may not be 10 or 15% more, it may only be 5% more, but at least we get the equipment and we can take care of the residents with equipment that works, you know. These are vehicles, eventually it's going to be garbage trucks, it's going to be utility trucks, it's going to be bucket trucks, it's going to be all kinds of things that we're having issues getting now, and I just want to make sure that we have the equipment, we give the departments the equipment they need that functions for their safety and is efficient, that they can get their jobs done. So that's just something I'm thinking about, that, you know, listening to you say that we may not even get this stuff, we may have to start looking outside the norm to figure out how to get the equipment that we need so that we can do our jobs.
Absolutely. We'll definitely take a look at that. But one of the things to keep in mind, some of these vehicles are specialized vehicles. So it's not like somebody has it in the lot. but we'll definitely take a look and see what we can come up with.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion to approve? Moved by Councilman Avila, seconded by Councilman Roth. There's nothing further. Let's have a roll call.
Councilwoman Fairclough Staggers. Councilwoman Avila. Councilman Roth.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Guzman.
Yes.
Mayor Losner.
Yes.
Motion passed.
And coming into the home stretch, hopefully tab 4, car number 3493 and the opioid participation agreement. Mr. Pearl?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, to approve and execute the participation agreement with Endo Pharmaceuticals, Inc., providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager?
Mayor, on December 7th, 2021, the City Council approved Resolution 2021-12156, authorizing the city manager to execute 2 participation agreements for consideration in the settlement of claims with Murchison Corporation, Cardinal Health, Inc., and Amerisource Burgeon Corporation. These firms have provided a participation agreement for consideration in the settlement of claims with Endo Pharmaceuticals, Inc. Staff recommends that Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a participation agreement with Endo Pharmaceuticals, Inc. to release all opioid claims.
Thank you. Council? All right. Any questions?
Yeah.
Comments?
Mayor, was this like before my time? What is this? I have no idea. Was this an executive session that I couldn't listen to through the WebEx or something?
No. Several years ago, the city joined a class action. We do not represent the city in this matter. There are class action plaintiffs' attorneys, and the city joined with numerous other local government entities in suits against the producers of opioids to make claims for damages that cities incurred. There have been ongoing negotiations for settlement between plaintiffs' attorneys. The cases have been consolidated. And what has happened is you end up with negotiated settlements with the various producers over time. And plaintiffs' attorneys have provided us to provide with you participation agreements whereby you agree to participate in the settlements that are negotiated rather than go your own way and try to litigate against these companies independently.
So this is contingent on us receiving some kind of monetary settlement?
Yes. At some point when we agree to participate, there'll be a negotiation. I think that for this particular defendant, the plaintiff's attorneys told us the estimate would be, a few thousand, $2,000-3,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. But the city is being represented on a contingent basis by the plaintiff's attorneys. This hasn't cost the city any money to participate in, so this is what we're getting. And there will be strings attached to the money once the settlements have been negotiated for use. And
What say you, Mayor?
I say move it. Please. Councilman Roth, did you wish to weigh in?
Yeah, just have we received monies already from part of these?
I don't believe we received any payouts yet. There have been these participation agreements were proffered a couple of months ago for other defendants within the cases, and as the settlements come to fruition, the money will be divided. There are rules. There's pots of money for different levels of government and uses that will be prescribed in the settlement agreement for how the funds need to be allocated.
Moved by Councilwoman Avila. Seconded by Councilman Roth. Okay. Any further from council? Is there anyone wishing to speak on this matter in the public? All right, let's have a roll call vote.
Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilwoman Fairclough Staggers? Councilwoman Avila? Vice Mayor Guzman?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. We are at that point of the agenda where we will now entertain public comments. And if someone could get Mr. Kraft a microphone, he is the only one who clocked in a speaker's request. Good? Okay, so never mind. I think he's good. You're good? Okay. Is there anyone online? Anyone else wishing to weigh in? Anyone else in the audience wishing to weigh in on public comments? All right, we'll close. Yes. All right, good evening.
I need to come back.
Okay. Mr. Ventura?
Mayor and Council, Larry Ventura, Homestead Air Reserve Base. Just only here because I let you all know last month that I would be back in 30 days in case you had any questions about the Defense Community Infrastructure Program as it relates to the grant for the sports complex. I just want to let you know I was here. Should you have any questions or need to discuss, otherwise I have nothing else and I'll take a seat.
Thank you for coming. I think it's all of our hope and expectation that things are moving forward as they can at this point.
Yes, Mayor. In fact, next week I'm going to be sitting down with James. Hopefully we can finalize the agreement and then definitely bring it back to council, hopefully next month.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Ventura. Appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
All right. Anyone else? Mr. Goodwin come back? All right. So we'll move, Mr. Manager, anything further for you, for your business?
Just want to wish everybody a happy President's Day. That's all.
Mr. Attorney?
Nothing this evening, sir.
No executive sessions, no
Nope.
new business. Hallelujah. Councilwoman Fairclough Staggers.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I would like to acknowledge February as African American History Month and the celebration of the achievements of African Americans, not just an emphasis on the struggle, but the strengths and the success in the African American community. So we set aside February to acknowledge African American History Month. So I'd like to start with that. Mr. Ventura reminded me, I have a question to Pedro through the city manager. I'm still waiting on that grant application to give me an idea for the defense grant. We had a meeting and you advised that you would share with me what the grant application entails, just for my frame of reference. So I'm still waiting on that.
Councilwoman, I believe I sent it to you, but I'll double check and make sure it gets to you.
Okay, thank you for that. Additionally, when you were speaking, Mr. Corandino, about providing a monthly report of approvals, prior to you mentioning that, I had a question. How can we be apprised, and I believe the mayor mentioned this before, of new businesses coming to the community? Because oftentimes residents ask me, oh, we have a Wawa coming. I saw it on Nextdoor, and I have no idea. So how can we strengthen the communication so that we are aware of when a Wawa or a Chick-fil-A is coming in our community and not the community letting us know based on what they saw next door?
We send a report to the CRA every month of the new businesses that have, these businesses have opened up. So we can forward that to you all. Well, it's the same board. The other instance is the Wawa. I mean, I don't know where that rumor started, but we have not heard from a Wawa. We had Wawa come in to us a couple. I'm done? All right, good.
Joe, your time is up.
Time is up.
Perfect timing. No, but to follow up on that question, somebody had said, hey, I've heard of Wawa's coming in. We went back through our records. Wawa had approached us a couple. Say I get three. Wawa had approached us a couple years ago and then disappeared. So we haven't had anybody from Wawa come in to talk to us about the potential opening of a business like that. I guess the question I would have is, when would you want to hear? When somebody came in to inquire about it, about a potential business, and then what is the type of business you would want to hear about, or when somebody filed an application for that?
I would like to, like when they file an application, not if someone just approached you, if they file an application, larger businesses,
Okay.
like the Wawas of the world, the Chick-fil-A, these businesses that the community has been asking for some time. I think it's very important for us to know that so that we're not looking crazy when the community asks us. So if you're preparing a report, you said you send it to the CRA?
Yeah, that's what the new business is. The CRA department, not the CRA board.
So I think we need
We'll
that information as well.
forward that through the manager's office to the city council, and then we'll start to put together a report. We'll as new applications come in, and they are for major businesses, we'll list what those applications are, and you'll see them because they end up on a PZ agenda anyway. But the Wawa thing at this point, I don't know where that's come from because we've not heard from Wawa.
Okay, well, that's good to know, so that I can respond to them. We have not heard from Wawa.
Councilwoman, if I could, don't we provide a quarterly report on the planning applications?
We can do it.
So, I mean, we could do it much more frequently. So I think it's the applications actually coming in, correct?
Mm-hmm.
We do it quarterly right now.
When's the last time that report has been provided?
Last quarter.
Really recent.
We'll get you that number. We'll get you when it was last sent out.
Right. Well, we should have put it together probably at the end of the year. Is the last time we should have done that. So we'll double check on that.
But with that being said, would you prefer it monthly? I mean, if you prefer it monthly, I mean, I don't know how much movement there are in new applications,
Well, we
but
get
whatever council desires.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I prefer it monthly. But let me go back to this. You said you provided quarterly, so obviously you provided it last quarter. When last quarter?
I don't know. I'll go check and I'll re-forward the last report whenever it was to manager's office, and then we'll get it to you.
Did you provide that to mayor and council?
No, I think we provide it to, who do we provide? The manager's office?
I think David sends it to mayor and council and copies the manager's office.
Have you all received that report?
I did. It was very short, the last report I received.
Oh, maybe that's why I don't remember it.
Like David and Joe said, we could resend it.
We'll resend it, and then we'll change that up to a monthly version. At the end of every month, we'll just take the list and send that out.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Before you could, and on that note, if I might, land use applications, but perhaps, as we're going to move forward, sometimes commercial projects are issued building permits without needing to come to council. Sometimes there's a huge lag in approval and building permit. Let me give you a real world example. Several people in the last couple of weeks asked me what the building was that was coming out of the ground right over here near Maury on US 1. And I was drawing a blank. There's no sign out front that says coming soon. Well, it's the IHOP that we approved probably a year ago, nine months ago, and I was just drawing a blank. So not only for those, but there will be other commercial building permits issued that are as a matter of right. Again, to your point, Councilwoman, I'd kind of like to feel like I'm in the know when somebody inquires. So, and again, for those big projects, they come in and can pull the building permit. If you could include that in a monthly report as well, it would be very helpful.
Will do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If I may piggyback
Councilwoman.
just for a second. I'm over here. Can I piggyback for a second? On the whole, since we're on that topic, because I too get those questions, and the Chick-fil-A is another one that they keep telling us is going on Campbell Drive across from the hospital, and you see it all over social media. So social media to me is, okay, maybe it's a rumor, it could be anything. And then there are some people that speak about doing business in the city, and they talk to the South Florida Business Journal, and they release their information to them before they even come to the city and make application. So I think the monthly thing would be good, And then also those of us that see social media information, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because not everything you read and see on social media is true, you know. So, and even if the Chick-fil-A was coming, everybody's talking about it's coming very soon, the building or the area they're talking about, there's not even a spot there. There's no building there at this point. So it would still take another year or so for that to even come out of the ground. So I think the monthly process is good. If you get wind of, you know, something fantastic that people are looking for, maybe you let us know with a phone call or something. Let us know right away and not wait for the month, because if social media has it and they start asking us, it's kind of embarrassing that we don't know. So
Right.
that's all we're asking, I think, up here.
I guess one of the issues that I have is if somebody were to come in and just inquire about a development, do you want to know about that? Sometimes.
No, I don't think that that's
just,
important.
Just applied for.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of businesses that have done that, and the rumor gets out and they don't show up. Look in Florida City, for one, just as an example, Wawa and Chick-fil-A, okay? They were rumored years ago, and they have never come to fruition. And who knows if the conversation of the Turnpike overpass had anything to do with that or not. But again, social media, people speaking about these things when there's no concrete evidence, I don't think we need to hear about those things. I remember, I think, was it the Target that there was you guys weren't allowed to speak about it until they had already come to you, but you weren't allowed to speak about it until they had the agreement with the Kohl's shopping people. So, and that sometimes there's privacy issues also that we, you know, they keep us to, that we don't know about those things. So anyways, just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Just another question. Do we want to limit this to commercial applications? Because you're not interested, or you want to see everything? Okay. Everything it is.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you for chiming in. We all need to be in the know.
You opened a good can of worms.
Thank you. Okay, two other points. I had planned on hosting a sunshine meeting with my colleagues, whoever is interested, to discuss economic development in the community. Oftentimes it's hard for us to kind of pull our brains together and have those conversations. And I think we really need to talk about economic development in this community and how we're going to move forward to strengthen our economic vitality. So I will be hosting a meeting, a sunshine meeting, and if your schedule permits, it'll be early March. But you'll get the information in advance. If your schedule permits you to attend, I'd love for you to attend, and let's just talk about what's next for us. What are our next goals? What are our aspirations, and what how we want to move our community forward? So I would love for you to come and us just sit down and have conversations about economic development, because it's time for us to have that conversation. And my final point is, you know, with the change in leadership and with the shifting of departments and responsibilities, I had asked our city manager for the organizational chart to kind of give us a sense of the ACMs, which departments they cover, put a face to the name of our department heads. So have you provided that information too?
Councilwoman, I just provided it to you.
Okay. So if you can share that with my colleagues, I think it's very important for them to know who's under each ACM. And my final question is, will the department heads, will they transition back to the council meetings? Because I see some, but not all.
I would love to transition everybody back into the council meetings, because I think it's important to actually be here. And I mean, that leads us to other conversations as well, whether it's the dividers, masks. I mean, I guess we could talk about that later on, but yes, the idea is to have all the directors here.
Yeah, I think it's time for them to transition back, because when I was looking at the org chart, I'm like, I don't know her, I don't know this person. And then when we participated in Kate's farewell, I sat there next to one of the staff members, and she was calling people up. I was like, man, I don't know half of these people. You know, we advocate for them, but I don't know all of their faces. So to me, I'll be reaching out to you and your EMT, because I want to sit down with all of you and kind of talk about what direction each of these departments are going, so that I can have that contact with our staff persons, because go to you, but I think it's very important for our leadership to be visible and have those conversations with staff as well.
I agree, and I would love it if you'd like to do site visits with the different departments as well. So we could definitely arrange that for you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Avila.
Thank you, Mayor. Hope everyone had a beautiful Valentine's Day. And I wanted to give kudos to our police department. You guys are doing a fantastic job. The Homestead Monster Truck Show is in town, and I'm hearing nothing but excellent things and zero incidences, at least the last time I heard. And with all the other major incidences that I've also been seeing, I'm happy that you are all safe and sound. So thank you for everything that you do. For our city manager, I know that our Parks Department was working on identifying our city buildings and how our resolution for our flagpoles can be implemented. Do you have any updates on that you can share?
Yeah, Councilwoman, sorry. Yeah, Parks went to all the city buildings, took a look. Most of the buildings had flags already. The ones that didn't, for example, FICO, Williams didn't, the community center didn't, we actually put flags up. I think there might be one more building that we're looking at to get the flags up, but other than that, basically every building in the city has an American flag on it.
Very well. Thank you for getting that done, and I look forward to seeing 100% of our city buildings with the American flag proudly displayed. And it also, with regards to making sure after storms that they're still up and standing, are you implementing a more rigorous routine?
Yeah, we constantly check the flags, obviously when we have to do half-mast and things like that, but we keep an eye on the flags, and they get tattered, we switch them out.
Thank you. And then if you could just get back to me with regards to that flooding concern that was brought to our attention today, and what we can do as a body to enforce the proper cleaning and maintenance of those drains so that the community and the residents are not dealing, especially going into rainy season. This is probably a good time to.
Absolutely. We'll meet with Public Works and Code and see what we can do here.
Okay. That's it for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Roth.
Thank you, Mayor. To follow up on Councilwoman Avila's flagpole thing, I did notice the other day I was driving by the flagpole that's at in front of the solid waste building. The flag is good. The pole looks terrible. Needs to be painted and whatever, sandblasted and cleaned up, because it's okay to do the flag, but if you got the pole that's all rusty and stuff, it's not so good. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Point taken. I agree.
And then also, she mentioned the flooding. And, sir, thank you for bringing that to our attention. I have spoken to Julio Brea about this problem as well for other communities, and it becomes a jurisdictional nightmare as to who's responsible for what. And the bottom line is, he said, she said, they said, the residents suffer. So we need to figure out when folks contact us, who's responsible for what drainage. I think Julio kind of explained it to me pretty well that some of the drainage is French drainage that's underground, so those holes over time and they get clogged up. They don't drain as quickly and as efficiently as they're supposed to. Who's supposed to clean those? Who's supposed to clean those is another question. So the pictures that he showed us today is not uncommon in other areas in the city as well. In the villages where I live, whatever happened with the road construction and the drainage there, it seems like our area doesn't flood as much, and when it does, it recedes rather quickly. But we haven't been tested yet with really serious rains like we've had in the past. So if we can look at that, maybe it may not be our responsibility, but people call us and at least we'll have an answer and be able to explain to them how we can help this. And I know even with the police department, when we've had those heavy rains, our cruisers can't make emergency calls. They can't get to places. And as you all know, I listened to the radio quite a bit, and a few years back or 3 years back, whatever it was, they were actually going through to parks and going to solid waste, getting pickup trucks and using those to answer calls. So it creates not only a problem for residents, but it creates a problem for emergency response. So, and those guys work their tails off. I heard them that day, and I was like, wow, looking for vehicles because they can't get into certain areas in the city because there was so much water on the ground. So whether we need airboats or whatever, we just got to be able to get to our people when they need us. So mask and dividers that you think you just brought up a second ago, there's only 7 states that have mask mandates in the whole country at this point. I'm not sure why Miami-Dade County has a mask mandate. Maybe it's only in governmental buildings, and maybe we can do something about that in our city, and in the dividers as well. I think we're getting close to time that it's time to at least relax it a little bit. No longer require it, but make it a recommendation. Those that want to wear masks, they can wear masks. Those that feel comfortable not wearing masks, I think we can make our own decisions now. We know what we're dealing with, how to protect ourselves until another major scare comes from another variant or whatever, then we'll deal with it then. But I think at this point it's time to calm down just a little bit about that. And on a happier note, for those of you, and I think all of us, most of us, went out to the rodeo this year. What a spectacular event. I think Matt had a pretty good vision of what that rodeo was all about too. The biggest, the best, the largest crowds. The weather was spectacular. They told us we were going to freeze Saturday and Sunday, and it actually wasn't that bad out there. I think the police department was very happy, and the fire department had, I think, 0 calls, maybe 1 call out there. So what a great weekend to spotlight the city, 70-plus years of rodeo. So I'm going to segue into the fact that we need to continue to look to preserve this rodeo, whether it's relocating it somewhere else in the city. But that's a tradition that needs to carry on for generations. It's a beautiful thing. It was great for the city, and it was just great for that association as well. So with that, I'll thank you, Mayor, for the time, and thank you all.
Thank you, Councilman. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to bring some attention to the appearance of our city. What I've been noticing over the past few months has been it's getting embarrassing the way our city looks west of US 1. And I know that we can find a solution to the problem. I just want to try to identify what would be the quickest and best policies that we could create that'll put us on the right path to making our city appear better, especially with the way the real estate prices are. We're in a red-hot real estate market. The prices in Miami-Dade County and north of the city are through the roof. So a lot of people are being pushed out, and even though the prices here in Homestead are also high on a lot of people's levels, we're still the best bang for your buck. So when new people come to the city of Homestead and decide that they may want to live down here, we're not giving them a very good first impression. So when you talk to developers, the developers all want to put their capital on the east side, which is great. It's part of our city. I think it's awesome. However, but we're trying to get people to invest on the west side. I think we've got to do our part and make the city look better. So before we make any changes, I think it's always, we need to get input from the city first. We want to get the residents to come out and say, hey, I like this, I don't like this, whatever you're proffering to change. Because as you start thinking about it, one would say, maybe we ought to go to the Miami-Dade policy where every resident gets 2 bulk waste pickups per year. But then if somebody's paying their taxes and they're getting a service, why should some part of the city be penalized because the other part of the city is not abiding by, the calendar? But when I drive home, there's trash everywhere. Everywhere you go up and down in my particular section, the northwest section, there's trash on every other home. And what I think is happening is the residents may not be abiding by the calendar, and they just decide to put trash out there whenever they want. And they say, at some point, the city is going to pick this up. So then it makes me look at code enforcement and say, all right, can we do something with code enforcement to to properly enforce those that are not abiding by that calendar. So I wanted to ask staff, do we think code enforcement is part of the solution? Can we enforce? Can we do a better job of enforcing? And I wanted to speak to staffs to help guide us a little bit on the code enforcement portion of citing for people who put their trash out too early.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So the question is, what is our current policy?
Yeah.
Okay. So our current policy is for a bulk trash improper disposal, you would get one warning and then you would get a citation. It is the largest violation that code enforcement has, by far.
Okay.
We had about 481 code violations last year for improper garbage disposal.
481
for 2021. We definitely cite for it. We have initiated, along with Zach and the manager's office, with the Keep Homestead Beautiful campaign in ways of proactively announcing to the citizens the changes in the schedule, because it takes people a long time to learn. Where we've sent emails to the property owners of the rental units that we have on file. We've sent, some have been received and we've gotten responses. We've sent every resident that has garbage service that has an email on file with customer service, we've sent them an email as well. And it says the service schedule, and it also says the recycling guide, because we've noticed that a lot of things that go out for bulk can be recycled. Everyone's Amazon boxes don't need to go into a pile in front of their house. They can be broken down and recycled, and the appearance is better. So we have the universal policy throughout the city, and I noticed that you said on the Northwest that you see it a lot, and we all see it a lot. The difference between the Northwest and or the West Side and the East Side is the East Side has communities that are covered by a buffer. We get lists of complaints from associations that say exactly what you're saying, that the residents in our community disregard the schedule and they all throw it out. So we go into the communities, we do the same as we do on each side of the city, and we send one warning and then one citation. After your first offense, we notify the owner, the renter, whoever the occupant may be gets notified along with the property owner. After that initial courtesy notice or notice of violation, they would then receive a civil citation.
Okay, so the current schedule allows for, and I'm specifically speaking on the bulk waste pickup where the big cherry picker and the other truck is behind it. Is that schedule every other week?
Right, it's 2 times a month.
Okay, so if you were gonna put a citation on someone's house, how many days, when are they supposed to put it out so they do not get a citation?
The day before.
And that pickup would normally be on Monday.
Whatever day according to your zone schedule. There's 8 zones in the city now, and there's 8 separate schedules that are corresponding to that. So we sent the map, the same thing that's available online, which is the map that tells what zone you're in your area. You pick your area, and then it will lead you to the corresponding map for your area that tells you the bulk, the regular pickup, as well as the recycling.
So if they put it in 2 days before, they could potentially
You get a violation. It's improper bulk trash disposal.
Does your staff have enough people to properly cite everyone that's violating that policy?
Thank you, Councilwoman. I will say probably what every city department says, that we are understaffed greatly. We are a city that is also going through another growth spurt. So yes, we are working with as best as we can to address the violations that we have.
Okay. So if we were to change the schedule to once a month, has anything worked in the past that you have seen it's better? Because doing it more often doesn't seem like it's
We had less
doesn't seem like
residents.
it's working.
Honestly, we had less residents. From a standpoint of, it was easier in the past, I can say, when there was a weekly pickup, but that's not feasible anymore because Homestead is probably close to triple the size it was then. And people knew that, like, if you were in the Northwest, every Thursday was your pickup day, right? That was how I was trained as a code officer. The Northwest section, every Thursday was the pickup, and there was no east side of the city at that time. So to change with the change of Homestead, we do have to make adjustments to that. And we are trying right now in the beginning of the year with the changes is to educate as many people as possible. We've reviewed and discussed the robocall system, the inserts in the utility bills, all the ways that we can to educate not just the occupants of them, but also the property owners. And we've also notified the management companies of the homeowners associations. I think there's 20 some odd management companies that manage over 80 something developments in the city. We've sent emails to them as well. We are trying to get as many people on board with this schedule and to be aware of it as possible.
Okay.
And Vice Mayor, just a friendly reminder, we used to do the weekly pickup, and we went to bi-weekly pickup as a cost-saving measure because the alternative would have been to raise the solid waste rates for our residents. So the strategy was, let's educate the residents, and we'll go every other 2 weeks, so we don't have to raise their rates. So that's why we're doing every 2 weeks right now, the pickup, for bulky pickup.
Okay, and on the regular schedule of solid waste pickup, I don't know if when it changed over, some of the residents didn't have their garbage picked up. That resident has to wait till the next week for that garbage to be picked up. Is that recently?
Go ahead.
Okay, but I think they missed. Go ahead.
Well, addressing the missed pickups, when there's a delay in the pickup schedule, which we did experience at the beginning of the year, if you all remember, we had quite a lot of staff out due to the Omicron surge we were experiencing. There is a notification sent out that says there's a pickup delay. Please leave your trash bin out until the next day when the pickup will be completed. Unfortunately, not everyone signed up to receive those alerts, so some people bring their bin in at the end of the day and just say, well, I'll get it next time. But we do our best to make sure that there's always a make-up pickup when there's a miss.
Okay. So what I would like to see moving forward, because there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to trying to figure out the best way to handle this problem, I would like to start with one particular section of Homestead, let's say the Northwest section, and start to figure out just in that small area how we can address it, and if it works, then we'll carry that over to other parts of the city. So what I would like to see happen is, first we get input from the residents. So if we could have one of those meetings that we had, remember when we were doing it with development services and we had, business community come up to the third floor, that was a very interactive meeting and we got very good recommendations and ideas from that. So if you guys are okay with that, I would like to schedule one of those meetings, and I don't know if you call it a workshop or a community engagement meeting, but just something that we can hear from the residents who live there. And if we tell them, hey, would you be okay with 2 pickups a year? They go, no, I don't like that. And then we can say, okay, well, tell us what you would like. That way we have good community input before we make or think about making any policy decision.
I'm happy to join you, Vice Mayor, and perhaps maybe doing it a little bit more local to the Northwest section at the community center on Crum Avenue. Maybe people don't have to go up to a 3rd floor. It's less distant. Just a recommendation. You do it how you want.
Well, welcome to my bandwagon. I know Kate got tired of hearing about it. I know Jerry's already tired of hearing about it. But this was a problem before we reduced the frequency of bulk pickup and changed the schedule. That was already a problem. The frequency and the schedule changes have only exacerbated the problem. So, as I see it, we've got folks who, our educational process fell short of the mark. And I'm sorry, but a little pink banner over Chrome Avenue isn't cutting it, okay? I think our educational process fell short, way short. Single-family, owner-occupied residences, I think, are easier to deal with. And I've gotten some emails where people were complaining about failure pickup, or they had gotten some notices, and once you explain the change in the they're fine. But we have many projects in the Northwest that are absentee landlords who don't care. And my perspective is until we start holding absentee landlords accountable for the actions of their tenants, because we don't know what junk came from which apartment, we're not going to get results. You can send nice emails and texts all you want, and I understand the manpower thing, but I believe we've got to lay the groundwork for warnings so that the burden is going to be on these landlords, I believe, to educate the tenants. But understand, I believe, and I think Jerry shares this, and I guess we're going as fast as we can for the dumping spy cameras, that we have, the same locations every week, the habitual offenders, where we have primarily contractors and landscapers who are not going to the dump, and they're dumping on the side of the street in Homestead because, hey, they'll pick it up. Now, some of the normal hotspots, I believe that some of the employees of those companies live in those projects and are probably given a little bonus to go dump on the side of the street. And I could take you tomorrow to Chrome Terrace, where a pile that was picked up Monday is just as big as it was last Sunday. So you're right. It's multi-layered, and I believe, we're going to get to the owner-occupied. I don't think we laid the educational groundwork early enough, but I think let's just say I feel that management and departments are kind of resistant, but I agree with you. It's an embarrassment. And it's not about attracting investors. It's about what's right to the people who have made their mortgage payments and pay their taxes and want to have nice neighborhoods or pay their rent and live by the rules. We come first, not the investors. You're right. It is impacting the quality of life and the sanitation, because so many of these piles, it's a cultural thing too, where folks are piling on household garbage on illegally or improperly dumped piles. I don't really know what the answer is either. I've encouraged this manager to go full bore against landlords and let them bear the brunt. And I think that once they feel as though they're going to have some financial obligation, tenants are all of a sudden going to be behaving. They're our best line of defense. And I tell you, from my perspective, I've been trying to put together a meeting with the big agricultural, nursery, and landscaping interest, those who have a lot of employees, for them to help us educate their people who live in the city that this is not how we live, and these are the dumping days. And again, we learned during the pandemic that there are many people in this community who do not read or write in their native language. So all the posters and all the inserts and all the banners in the world don't serve as an educational process. It's a very difficult task. But, well, somebody's gonna, you're right. Somebody, whether it be their landlord or, the one unit in a duplex, whatever it is, but something's got to give. It's terrible out there, particularly on the west side.
I agree, Mayor. I mean, it's unsightful. I mean, it's health-wise, it's not good for anyone. And that's why we're doing the Homestead Beautiful. We're doing different sections of the community every so many months, trying to educate folks. And I mean, the first location we did, we basically left it spotless, and within weeks, if I'm not mistaken, it was kind of back to where it was, you know? And so there is the cultural challenge, you know, and we're trying to educate folks as best we can. Enforcement is obviously another component, and it's true what Crystal says, you know, in terms of staffing, it's a challenge, but I'm happy to report at least this budget year, we did add 2 additional code enforcement officers. So that's going to help out a little bit. Now, Mayor, I don't know about selective enforcement, just rental units. Maybe we could do zoned, you know, like zone blitz.
The habitual offenders or by zones.
Gotcha. And so those are things we're definitely looking at, and you're correct on the cameras. We're still working on the RFP to go out for that. There was some requirements because of ARPA funds that we had to do certain required notifications in the bid solicitation. So we're working through that. So hopefully sooner than later we're going to have the cameras. But once again, the cameras are not going to be a catch-all either. This has to be a multifaceted approach here, whether it's education, enforcement, and literally walking the streets there in the residents' neighborhoods, you know, doing the cleanup programs with the community to go ahead and resolve that. I understand where the council, vice mayor is coming from with the county. The beauty of their method right now is that if you have, you know, a couch, a refrigerator, table, pond froms, you take it to a little regional dump area, and then they transport it to the dump, right? And so you don't see the piles every week everywhere, except for some, you know, you cut down a royal palm, you know, you got a line in front, then you call them, you know, that's one of your 2 call outs a year to come out. So there's a lot of things we can look at. But like I said, this is a multifaceted approach because this is not an easy problem. This problem has existed for as long as I can remember, okay? And you're correct. I mean, the fact that we're going once every 2 weeks has aggravated the situation, but we're going to do whatever we can to go ahead and resolve this issue moving forward.
Go ahead, Mr. Crow.
Sure. Go on. Well, you're going to have to get near a microphone. We're going to have to bring you one, I guess. Just hang on till we get you a microphone.
While they get him the microphone, I wanted to ask Julio, Mr. Brea, because I saw, Jerry, we're buying cars for Public Works, the trucks, you know, because they're done with their useful life. But I don't think I've ever seen a garbage truck, you know, a purchase of a garbage truck.
It's probably been ordered, and it takes about a year to deliver. So we have ordered new vehicles. How many?
We're waiting on 3 now.
3 vehicles right now we're waiting on.
Each one is close to $300,000.
Okay, so then we're soon going to have backup vehicles for that fleet of solid waste trucks.
I wouldn't say backup vehicles. It's replacing older vehicles. I mean, we've squeezed the blood out of these vehicles. I mean, we've refurbished them. Some two times they've been refurbished.
So if one of those trucks goes down, how do we respond?
Go ahead, Julio.
Thank you, Ms. Oliver.
Oh, no problem. So yeah, so that is a big issue right now. We've gone through, I mean, the pandemic basically put a lot of hardship when it came to solid waste. Originally, it was, you know, personnel being out because they were ill, and now what we're seeing is the supply chain of parts, equipment. It's becoming an issue. So when one of our trucks goes down, usually in the past, you know, a couple of days and it will be back online. Now it takes weeks sometimes because you're waiting for a particular part that's coming from somewhere else and it's just not getting here, it's not available. And everybody, all the municipalities are fighting for the same you know, type of service. The same with equipment. When I first started at the city, you would order a vehicle, and a lot of times you would get a loaner while they were building your you know, the one that you were purchasing. So there was like no lag time. Then that became 3 months. Now we're talking a year from the time that we order to the time that we see the vehicle come to us for us to be able to use it. And also, Another thing that we're seeing is we've even looked at renting equipment, like having before you could have a PO set up with a rental company that rents, these type of equipment, solid waste, hard, heavy construction equipment, etc. And again, there's nothing available. We've been trying, right now we're down 3 trucks. And those trucks usually will come back on service within a couple of days. And it's been probably, I would say right now, like 2 weeks that we've been down 3 trucks in our fleet. And that's a lot,
The regular service, the regular garbage service trucks that picks it up and
yeah,
dumps it?
so for the regular service right now, we have 2 trucks out. And then we also have a recycling truck that's out. So what happens is when one of those trucks is out and we're waiting for either a spare part or something to replace that vehicle, our operators have to do double duty. They'll have to finish one route, or when they finish that route, that truck now becomes available for another operator to come and do the zone that was used to be done by that particular truck. So it's quite challenging. I mean, it's really become the mode of operation right now is every morning is like, okay, which truck, if one gets something, an axle breaks or something, it's not like before that you could repair it right away. You have to wait. And it really adds a lot of complexity to the operations.
So it doesn't help us to add a bunch of equipment and spare parts now, because soon the supply chain issues may be.
We're hoping that it gets fixed, right? That's our hope, and that's what everybody's hope is in every department. I mean, I've spoken to other cities, we've spoken to the county, and even the county is having issues when it comes to getting spare parts. But of course, their fleet is so large that they have that flexibility that they can work around it. Smaller cities, you're down 1 truck. Usually before we had either 1 truck or 2 that were spares, and we have the spares, but the spares are out waiting for parts too. So it's become a little challenging, to say the least.
Thank you.
And I'm serviced by the county, and I had to wait 3 days, one day for them to pick up my garbage.
Yeah,
it was when the COVID was spiking.
Thank you, Julio. And Jerry, one last thing. The trustees that we had before, there used to be 3 or 4 crews that helped us out with picking up palm fronds, and especially in the commercial areas. They're no longer available, and we're down to a very small amount, and that is taxing us.
Exactly, Vice Mayor. Right now, we're down to 1 crew. I want to say it's about 4 or 5 individuals. We heard from the prison warden the other day, and they're estimating to get back to the normal staffing levels that we had in the past. They're looking at 9 months, best case scenario. So right now we are taxed. We are trying to do as best as we can. Right now we're on the street for solicitation for landscaping services, and we're basically including everything right now, even the properties that the trustees used to take care of.
Okay.
So that way, at least we'll know really what it's going to cost us to go ahead and take care of it ourselves with the new vendor, whoever it may be, and not depend on the trustees as much. Now, the agreements are going to be written in such a way that once the trustees come online, we'll be able to take off certain areas of the agreement and reduce the cost to the city. But in the next month or 2, I think we're going to have to make some difficult decisions in terms of landscaping maintenance citywide.
Thank you, Jerry. Matt, if I wanted to set up this workshop or community engagement as soon as possible, what is the procedure? Who do I have to notify?
Well, we'll work through the clerk's office to publish your notice. I don't know if you want to have the clerk check your availability of your colleagues, and see if you can coordinate a date, or if it's your preference, it'll be noticed either way, and you can do it as irregardless of whether or not your colleagues show up. So it's your preference. You tell us how you would like us to proceed in scheduling it, and we'll do that.
You guys think 3 weeks is enough time to advertise and let everybody know, or you think a month? Sooner the better.
You want to do it the same
Sooner the
day?
better. I question what you think that will accomplish.
If we said to them, listen, you get 2 pickups per year, 2 pickups per year, and everybody says, great idea. Think that helps our city. Because now, because we do have a solid waste dump, right? Like Miami-Dade County has on Moody Drive. Not as big, but we've got a smaller footprint.
If we were to take that route as the county, we would have to create, I would figure 2 to 4 sites citywide, right? So the residents wouldn't have to go too far. Usually it's within 10, 15-minute drive from your house in the county where you have a dumping site. So I'm just thinking of the city off the top of my head. I figured 2 to 4 sites we would need. So obviously we need the properties, big enough for that. The good thing about this is even though we would do away with a bulky pickup, we would still be using the staff because you need them to go ahead and shuttle the dumped materials to the dump during the day. So everybody's still working. So yeah, we would need 4 sites. So it's not as easy as saying, hey, go dump it all at solid waste because the facility's insufficiently big enough to handle that.
Thank you, Jerry. So, Mayor, what I hope to accomplish is we're going to basically start throwing darts at a board and say, residents, you live here, you don't like the way it looks, what solutions can you bring to the table? And then we get a list of solutions and bring them back and decide if we want to make any changes at all. But I'm sure we'll get something out of that, and I think the residents would appreciate that we're including them to make, some suggestions and some changes. Or we could all be like Councilman Roth and clean up every week.
Thanks for bringing me into the conversation because I've been chomping at the bit over here. No, I don't think two pickups a year is the solution to this. You think we got trash out there now? You stop it to 2 times a year, we're gonna have a big problem. Part of my thought process is, and I think maybe we do this little workshop together. Crystal pointed out that the gated communities on the east side complain just as much, and they protect themselves through their own process of fines and whatnot, and those get pretty serious and they elevate very quickly out there. Maybe we look at the west side as different districts similar to the gated communities out there, give code enforcement the manpower they need to do what the associations do. And this is an impossible ask, but for them to visit their district once a month and figure out what we need to do with code in order to expedite the fines, because that's education. You start taking dollars out of people's pockets, that's education to them. And I think, I don't think that we missed the boat on education. I think that the residents aren't taking the personal responsibility that they should be taking upon themselves to keep their communities clean. And in the villages, it's the same thing. They just arbitrarily start a pile somewhere. And we've had beds and stuff out there for the last 3 days. And it's ignorance, it's personal responsibility. Well, I'm not going to go there with that, but and I think if we educate, we find, that will help that process. The other problem we've always had, especially in the northwest side, is those that are coming from the county and dumping into our city. So we're not going to solve this problem tonight. We probably will not solve this problem over the next decade because it's going to be there. It's our response to the dumping as best as we can. And we can't give code resources enough to do this. We can't give the city manager's office and solid waste the resources to do this on a daily basis. So the next step is to find and educate. And everyone is welcome to come out with us on February the 26th, which is our planned day to go somewhere in the city. I'm thinking it's on the west side because we're meeting, I think, in the police department's parking lot, and help us clean up our city. From 9 o'clock to, I think, noon, we're going to be out there. I'll be out there. I've signed up. Zach, you know I'm coming. I'm bringing my own picker-uppers and my gloves and my bags, and and I think everybody should get out there and set the example. I do it every month in the villages with some volunteers. We do that every month. And, it's amazing to me that even on social media, I'll reach out. Hey, call me. I'm happy to come out there and help you organize a cleanup. Nobody ever does. I don't know what it takes for people to care about picking up litter in their communities. I just don't know what it is. So, anyways, that's my 2 cents. I'm happy to go with you on that thing. If you're hearing my voice, please come out the 26th, meet us at the parking lot of the police department, and help us clean up our city. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
I was allowed to ask something. May I say something now?
Yes, Mr. Kraft, that's all, Mayor. I'm going to work with staff to set it up.
I have a couple of questions. When you see a pile, then I think many people say, oh, somebody did it before me. Now it's legit. I can do it too. And therefore, they add to the pile. So I think it's a bad idea to let the pile grow by saying we do it twice a year. I think we should go back to the old system once a week and then figure out how much more will it cost. And that cost could probably be covered by the increase in code enforcement. So if we increase what they have to pay for doing what they do, that is not so healthy for the city, let the money go to the people who will have to clean up the city. And also another thing, when you see trash, people have a tendency to do that, but they also put their letters and boxes from Amazon and what have you. That means they are proof of who they are. So then a little detective work and you will be able to find the perpetrator. That was all.
Thank you, Mr. Kraft. Appreciate it. All right, a couple of things under my business. We want to announce and just reiterate, and if it's not on the clerk's website, announce that there are several vacancies on the Historic Preservation Board. I understand that the failure of a quorum there is delaying the progress of a project that we allocated some downtown money for. Quite frankly, that particular instance, I don't, for the life of me, understand why that building was ever considered historic, but it is, so we've got to get a board constituted and get that going forward. So if the clerk could again advertise that, and again, this may be a very, we need to get those seats filled so that that project can go forward. Mr. Cordino, how are we coming on our RTZ?
We've got all the maps done, and we're just about ready to come back to you and have the next discussion. So we'll get with the manager's office and see if we can schedule that in the next couple of weeks and advance the ball a little bit closer.
Glad to hear it. Let's not let the county leapfrog ahead of us on whatever it is they're going to do.
Yes, sir. No updates, by the way. I haven't not heard. Last we checked with the attorneys was they were going to submit something sooner rather than later, but that has not happened. So we're still in a good place. I would suspect that if they did do something, they would give the cities a reasonable amount of time to act. So I think we've started early enough to protect ourselves.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
And then finally, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge my wife, Lori, tonight. Today is our 31st wedding anniversary, and she's lived through a lot of campaigns and through a lot of contentious council meetings, and without her, I wouldn't have been ever able to do any of that. So, to her, I owe a lot, and I don't think she ever thought she signed up for all of this, but I don't know, after 31 years, maybe a little bit too late. I don't know. Some say it's never too late. So happy anniversary, and I hope to be home soon. So with that, do we have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? All right, thank you.